Hello. I just finished Mirak's quest, and we are officially done with Mirak's quest. And I got a lot of books. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. So I'm going to try and go very slowly reading all of them. Yeah. If you notice, this one came from another place because I was kind of trying to complete the Wolf Queen and stuff, and I got that one. So, yeah, I'm going to go very slowly reading all of these that I have and then storing them on the house. And then I'm going to also try to record as much as I can of the completed series that I have. I have Song of Skyrim and the Wolf Queen. I already have those two completed. Like, I got all the volumes, so that's what I'm going to do afterwards. Again, this is going to be a lot of reading. I don't know. I might just record all of this in like a week or two. I definitely look forward to it. A Dream of Sovngarde. In a few hours, I will likely be dead. My men and I, north of Skyrim all, will soon join the Emperor's legions to attack the Imperial City. The Aldmeri are entrenched within Arl, and our losses will be severe. It is a desperate gambit, for if we do not reclaim the city, we will lose the war. Last night, I prayed to mighty Talos for courage and strength in the battle to come. In these last cold hours, before the sun rises, I sit down to write this account of a dream I had not long after. I believe this dream was the answer to my prayers, and I would pass along the wisdom it contained to my kinsmen for the battles they will fight in the years after my passing. In the dream I walked through mists towards the sound of laughter, merriment, and the songs of the north. The mist soon cleared, and before me lay a great chasm. Waters thundered over its brim, and so deep it was, I could not see the bottom. A great bridge made all of whalebone was the only means to cross, and so I took it. It was only a few steps onto the bridge that I encountered a warrior, grim and strong. "I am Zun, master of trials," he said to me, his voice booming and echoing upon the walls of the high mountains all around us. With a wave, he bade me pass on. I knew in my heart that I was granted passage only because I was a visitor. Should the hour come when I return here after my mortal life, the legends say that I must face this dread warrior in single combat. Beyond the bridge, a great stone longhouse rose up before me, so tall as to nearly touch the clouds. Though it took all my strength, I pushed open the towering oaken door and beheld the torch-lit feast hall. There were assembled the greatest heroes of the North, all drinking mead, poured from great kegs and singing battle songs. Suckling pigs turned on a long iron spit over a roaring fire. My mouth watered at the smell of the roasted meat, and my heart was glad to hear the songs of old. "Come forth," cried out a hoary man, who sat upon a high wooden chair. This I knew to be Ysgramor, father of Skyrim and the Nords. I approached and knelt before him. "You find yourself in Sovngarde, hall of the North dead. Now, what will you have of me, son of the North?" he bellowed. "I seek counsel," said I, "for tomorrow we fight a desperate battle, and my heart is full of fear." Ysgramor raised his tankard to his lips and drank until the cup was empty. Then he spoke once more. "Remember this always, son of the North. A Nord is judged not by the manner in which he lived, but the manner in which he died." With that, he cast aside his flagon, raised his fist in the air, and roared a great cheer. The other heroes rose to their feet and cheered in answer. The sound still rang in my ears when I awoke. I gathered my men and told them of my vision. The words seem to fill their hearts with courage. The horns are blowing, and the banners are raised. The time has come to muster. May Talos grant us victory this day, and if I am found worthy, may I once again look upon the great feast hall. Scarred and Free Winter. Good book. Don't know if I can actually read them. I can try it though. Give me a second. Can I actually read them now that or do I go unable to concentrate on what you're reading? Okay. Huh? Okay. So I cannot. Okay. Okay, so we can continue. Boethiah's Glory. We did read Boethiah's Trial, so I wonder what this one is about. Look upon the face of Boethiah and wonder. Raise your arms, that Boethiah may look on them and bestow a blessing. Know that battle is a blessing. Know that death is an eventuality. Know that you are dust in the eyes of Boethiah. Long is the arm of Boethiah, and swift is the blade. Deep is the cut, and subtle is the poison. Worship, O faithful, pray your death is short. Worship, O faithful, pray your death is quiet. Worship, O faithful, worship the glory that is Boethiah. Oh, that's a very short book. Okay. Catalogue of Weapon Enchantments by Yvonne Vienne, Synod Researcher. Within this catalogue, there are all known varieties of weapon enchantments the modern age can cast. No pretense is made that this list is complete. New discoveries are made, and new enchantments are revealed often enough that this work will eventually become outdated. Those who follow may choose to revise this work as needed. Weapons such as axes and bows can hold a wide variety of enchantments. The most common are fire, frost, and lightning. The simple yet effective enchantments burn, freeze, or shock when they draw blood. Only slightly less common are weapon enchantments that drain magicka or stamina. These drain of a wizard's reserve of power, tiring him magically just as the weapons that drain stamina tire their victims physically. Unlike the elemental enchantments, the enchantment alone cannot kill, although the weapon itself can still take a life. Equally less common are the enchantments of fear. There are two varieties, one of the living and one for the undead. The former will only affect living creatures, not undead, or magical constructs, such as atronachs and dwarven automatons. The latter cause dragor, skeletons, vampires, and the like to flee. There is no known fear enchantment that will affect dwarven machines. A particularly insidious, but somewhat uncommon enchantment is Soul Trap. Upon entering the blood, the victim's soul is bound. Should he die shortly thereafter, his soul is siphoned off to a nearby soul gem. This form of magic should only be used against beasts and monsters. To use it against men or elves is abhorrent. Noticeably, more rare are the absorb enchantments. There are three known types that drain the victim's health: magicka or stamina. The weapon becomes a conduit, transferring the stolen energy from the victim to the wielder. These are sometimes referred to as vampiric enchantments. As discussed above, absorbing magicka and stamina is not in itself deadly. Absorbing health can actually steal the life from a creature. The rarest of enchantments are those of banishment and paralyzation. Banishment only affects summoned atronachs or undead raised by wizards. The banishment breaks the link between the caster and the creature. Summoned atronachs return to the oblivion plane from whence they came. Raised undead are released. It is important to note that self-willed undead are not affected by banishment. Paralyzation is simple, yet deadly. The affected creature becomes rigid and unable to move for a short time. This is one of the most prized enchantments among warriors. A paralyzed opponent can be dispatched with ease. It is important to note that many creatures are immune to paralysis, such as Atronachs, skeletons, ice wraiths, and dwarven automatons. Yeah, I didn't read that. I thought I read that though. Changed once. Of all the Et Ada who wandered Nirn, Trinimag was the strongest. He, for a very long time, fooled the Almighty into thinking that tears were the best response to the Sundering. They cried and shamed their ancestors, especially the feminine Almer. They even took the missing god's name in vain, calling his narratives into question. So one day, Boethiah, Prince of Plots, precocious youth, tricked Trinimag to go into his mouth. Boethiah talked like Trinimag for a while then, and gathered enough people to listen to him. Boethiah showed them the lies of the Et Ada, the Edra, and told them Trinimag was the biggest liar of all, saying all this with Trinimag's voice. Boethiah told the mass before him the three-angled truth. He showed them, with Methala, the rules of the Sishik endeavor. He taught them how to build houses and what items they needed to bury in the corners. He demonstrated the right way to wear their skin. He performed the way to walk to achieve the Exodus. Then Boethiah relieved himself of Trinimag right there on the ground before them to prove all the things he said were the truth. It was easy, then, for his new people to become the changed ones. Children of the Sky. Norths consider themselves to be the children of the sky. They call Skyrim the throat of the world because it is where the sky exhaled on the land and formed them. They see themselves as eternal outsiders and invaders, and even when they conquer and rule another people, they feel no kinship with them. The breath and the voice are the vital essence of a North. When they defeat great enemies, they take their tongues and trophies. These are woven into ropes and can hold speech like an enchantment. The power of a North can be articulated into a shout, like the kiai of an Akiviri swordsman. The strongest of their warriors are called tongues. When the Norse attack a city, they take no siege, engines or cavalry. The tongues form in a wedge in the front of the gatehouse and draw in breath. When the leader lets it out in a kiai, the doors are blown in and the axemen rush into the city. Shouts can be used to sharpen blades or strike enemies. A common effect is the shout that knocks an enemy back, or the power of command. A strong North can instill bravery in men with his battle cry, or stop a charging warrior with a roar. The greatest of the Norths can call to a specific people over hundreds of miles and can move by casting a shout, appearing where it lands. The most powerful Norths cannot speak without causing destruction. They must go gagged and communicate through a sign language and through scribbling runes. The farther north you go into Skyrim, the more powerful and elemental the people become, and the less they require dwellings and shelters. Wind is fundamental to Skyrim and the North. Those that live in the far wastes always carry a wind with them. Fall of the Snow Prince. An account of the Battle of Moesring, as transcribed by Lochheim, chronicled to the chieftain Ingchald White-Eye. From whence he came he did not know, but into the battle he rode, on a brilliant steed of pallid white. Elf we call him, for elf he was, yet unlike any other of his kind we had ever seen before that day. His spear and armor bore the radiant and terrible glow of unknown magicka, and so adorned his unknown rider seemed more weight than warrior. Seemed more wicked? What is wicked? That trouble, nay, frightened us most at that moment was the call that rose from the elven ranks. It was not fear, not wonder, but an unabashed and unbridled joy. the kind of felicity felt by a damned man who has been granted a second chance of life. For at that time the elves were as damned as near death, as ever they had been during the great scrimmages of Solstheim. The Battle of the Moesring was to be the final stand between North and Elf on our fair island, led by Ysgamor, and had driven the elven scourge from Skyrim, and were intent on cleansing Solstheim of their kind as well. Our warriors, armed with the finest axes and swords North craftsmen could forge, cut great swaths through the enemy ranks. The slopes of the Moesring ran red with elf blood. Why then would our foe rejoice? Could one rider bring such hope to an army so hopeless? To most of our kind, the meaning of the call was clear, but the words were but a litany of elves' chants and cries. There were some among us, however, the scholars and chroniclers, who knew well the words and shuddered at their significance. The Snow Prince is come. Doom is at hand. There was then a great calm that overcame the elves, that still stood. Through their mass the Snow Prince did ride, and as longboat slices the icy waters of the Shalding, he parted the ranks of his king. The magnificent white horse slowed to a gallop, then a trot, and the unknown elf rider moved to the front of the line at a slow, almost ghost-like pace. A Nord warrior sees much in a life of bloodshed and battle, and is rarely surprised by anything armed combat may bring. But few among us that day could have imagined the awe and certainty of a raging battlefield that all at once went motionless and silent. Such is the effect the Snow Prince had on all of us. For when the joyous cries of the elves had ended, there remained a quiet known only in the solitude of slumber. It was then our combined host, elf and Nord alike, were joined in a terrible understanding. Victory or defeat mattered little that day on the slopes of the Moesring Mountains. The one truth we all shared was that death would come to many that day, victor and vanquished alike. The glorious Snow Prince, an elf unlike any other, did come that day to bring death to our kind, and death he so brought. Like a sudden violent snow squall that renders travellers blind and threatens to tear loose the very foundations of the sturdiest hull, the Snow Prince did sweep into our numbers. Indeed, the ice and snow did begin to swirl and churn about the elf, as if called upon to serve his bidding. The spinning of that gleaming spear whistled a rich to all those who would stand in the way of the Snow Prince, and our mightiest fell before him that day. Ulfgi, anvil hand, Storm the White, Frida Olken wand, Heimdall the Frenzied, and lay dead at the foot of the Moesring Mountains. For the first time that day it seemed the tide of battle had actually turned. The elves, spurred on by the deeds of the Snow Prince, rallied together for one last charge against our ranks. It was then, in a single instant, that the battle of the Moesring came to a sudden and unexpected end. Ina, daughter of Shofrior, a lass of only 12 years, and squire to her mother, watched as the Snow Prince cut down her only parent. In her rage and sorrow, Fina picked up Shofrior's sword and threw it savagely at her mother's killer. When the elf's gleaming spear stopped its deadly dance, the battlefield fell silent, and all eyes turned to the Snow Prince. No one that day was more surprised than the elf himself at the sight that greeted them all. For upon his great steed, the Snow Prince still sat, the sword of Shofrior buried deeply in his breast, and then he fell from his horse, from the battle, from life. The Snow Prince lay dead, slain by a child. With their savior defeated, the spirit of the remaining elven warriors soon shattered. Many fled, and those that remained on the battlefield were soon cut down by our broad north axis. When the day was done, all that remained was the carnage of the battlefield, and from that battlefield came the dim reminder of valor and skill, for the brilliant armor and spear of the Snow Prince still shined. Even in death, this mighty and unknown elf filled us with awe. It is common practice to burn the corpses of our fallen foes. This is as much as a necessity as it is a custom, for death brings with it disease and dread. Our chieftains wished to cleanse Solstheim of the elven horde, in death as well as life. It was decided, however, that such was not to be the fate of the Snow Prince. One so mighty in war, yet so loved by his kin, deserved better, even in death, even if an enemy of our people. And so we brought the body of the Snow Prince, wrapped in fine silks, to a freshly dug barrow. The gleaming armor and spear were presented on a pedestal of honor, and the tomb was arrayed with treasure worthy of royalty. All of the mighty chieftains agreed with this course, that the elf should be so honored. His body would be preserved in the barrow for as long as the earth chose, but would not be offered the protection of our Stalrim, which was reserved for North death alone. So ends this account of the Battle of the Moasring, and the fall of the magnificent elven Snow Prince. May our gods honor him in death, and may we never meet his kind again in life. Flight from the Thalmor. Dearest reader, the work you are about to experience has been copied and duplicated so that the story it relates can be spread throughout the Empire. But make no mistake, this is not a work of fiction. The events chronicled in this account are all true, were originally documented in a private journal, which now remains safely guarded in the House of Quills in Hammerfell, and occurred not more than a year before this book was printed. Ashad ibn Khaled, High Scribe, House of Quills, Hammerfell. It's been 9 days since I slipped my bonds, 9 days since I strangled my captor with my own chains, and 9 days since I rushed headlong into the night, always listening but never looking back. But in order to understand my current predicament, I must first understand where I came from, and just where this story began. My name is Hadrik Oakenhart, and I am a proud North of Skyrim. I am a skald by trade, and received my formal training at the Bard's College in Solitude. For years I made my occupation as a traveling musician and minstrel, and even served several stints as a war bard in service to the armies of the various jarls. And it's very safe to say that if I weren't a bard, I never would have gotten into this mess to begin with. My troubles began when I first started singing about Talos, the nymph and greatest divine, the loved of the people of Skyrim. Turns out he's not so loved by the Thalmor. Ah yes, the Thalmor, as common as the head cold in Skyrim these days, and just as annoying, or so I thought at the time, before their true power and influence made itself known. For those not in the known, the Thalmor are Skyrim's recently honored guests, high elves of the Aldmeri Dominion, who were gracious enough to wipe us all out during the Great War. But as every Nord of Skyrim knows, Thalmor graciousness comes at a terrible price. One of the stipulations of the White Gold Concordant, the peace treaty between our peoples, was the abolishment of Talos worship. A man ascent to godhood, preposterous, claimed the Thalmor, and so the open worship of Talos has been outlawed in Skyrim and actively enforced in those cities where the Thalmor have a tangible presence, cities, I may add, in which the Empire has the most secure foothold. It was in one of these cities, Markath to be exact, where I made the conscious decision to defy the ban on Talos worship, and my defiance came in the form of, what else? A song. For what bard who has spent time writing and rehearsing an original work can possibly refrain from performing it? So perform I did. Not once, not twice, but 7 times. Once a day for an entire week. Now, here's something most of my kingsmen are unaware of. Not all Thalmor in Skyrim are equal in station or purpose. In fact, there is one group in particular that operates secretly in the shadows, watching and waiting for those Nords who break the law and continue their worship of Almighty Talos. These are the justiciars, and it is their job to enforce this, the most terrible of conditions of the White Gold Concordant. And so, I would have performed my song for an 8th time had I been given the opportunity. Sadly, I was not, for the justiciars had been waiting. Instead, I received a black sack over my head in the wee hours of the morning, a dreadfully uncomfortable wagon ride, and sinister promises that I would enjoy my new home, which I came to realize was some sort of secret Thalmor prison or detention camp. One I was certain I would never leave alive. It was at that moment I realized I needed to make my escape. No matter what, even if I died in the attempt, I had to slip the grasp of my captors. Better that than rot in some god-forsaken Thalmor jail until the end of time. I finally got my chance when the wagon stopped, and we made camp for the night. One of my 2 Thalmor guards set off into the forest to hunt, leaving me alone with the other. And so my account comes full circle. It is now 9 days later. And in that time, I have realized the true extent of my foolishness. I couldn't have sung the song just once, or maybe twice, or not at all. I couldn't have swallowed my stubborn Nord pride and realized just how much of a power, influence the Thalmor truly have over the Jarls. No, I could not. So now I run. Like a hare from the hound, I run. Always moving, rarely resting, never sleeping, but the Thalmor dog my every move. Where will I go? How will I escape their grasp? I honestly don't know. The only thing I now understand for certain is this. If the agents of the Aldmeri Dominion cannot have your soul, then they will take your very life. My name is Hadric Oakenheart, and I am a proud Nord of Skyrim. Remember me, for soon I will be dead. Nice story, though. Hanging Gardens of Waston Cordiale. This book was apparently written in Dwemer and translated to Aldmeris. Only fragments of the Aldmeris is readable, but it may be enough for a scholar of Aldmeris to translate fragments of other Dwemer books. Guide Aldmer Estriel led with foot flames for the town center where lay dead the quadrangular gardens. Asked the foundations and chains and vessels their naming places. Why they did not use solid sound to teach escape from the earth bones or nourish them with frozen flames. The word I should have once written off this art. Our lesser cousins speak of when their admirable ignorance. But neither words nor experiences cleanses the essence of the strange and terrible ways of defying our ancestors' transient rules. The translation ends with a comment in Dwemer in a different hand, which may be translated as follows. Put down your ardent cutting gloves. I don't know how to pronounce that. Your Aldmeris has the correct words, but they cannot be properly misinterpreted. Yeah, that was really weird to read. Heavy Armor Forging by 72 Hammers. Heavy armor must be designed to take a lot of punishment. It will receive direct blows from all sorts of weapons, while protecting the wearer. Leather strips are used to make the straps and binding in all armor. Iron and steel are easy to work, just heat them up and pound them into shape. The heat of the forge is not that critical. Avoid feeling off any of the metal. Always try to conserve the metal and work it back into shape. Iron armor requires a large number of iron ingots. A smith might need a couple of dozen to complete a full set of iron armor. Steel armor primarily uses steel ingots, but some iron is used as well. Dwarven armor is made from dwarven metal. The secret of this material was lost when the dwarves disappeared millennia ago. Now, it can only be found as scrap in the ruins of their abandoned cities and fortresses. Orcish armor requires large amount of orichalcum, melted with a bit of iron. Heat should be used sparingly, and let it become brittle. The orcs are masters of this technique, but it can be learned by any smith with patience and skill. Steel plate mail is made by adding steel to molten corundum. The alloy is stronger than either metal by itself. Corundum is a finicky material requiring the heat from the forge to be steady and not very much. Ebony can only be worked when heated. It will develop small cracks that eventually shatter the material if hammered cold. Unlike most other armors, ebony will not alloy with iron. It must be used pure. I can only tell you tales of how to make Daedric armor. I had never seen it myself, nor do I know anyone that has. The stories say that it should always be worked on at night, ideally under a new or full moon, and never during an eclipse. A red harvest moon is best. Ebony is the principal material, but at the right moment, a Daedra heart must be thrown into the fire. I read this already. Yeah. Another one of these, Herbane's Bestiary Hagravens. Was it Ice Race? The ones that we actually read about Herbane's Bestiary? I have heard a tale, most bizarre. A beautiful young woman cast out of town by the thrown stones of accusers for giving in to the dark arts. They say she fled into the Reach and never reappeared, and justly so because they say the delivery of her magic had grown stronger with each new day. Shortly after, a witch of half woman and half bird has been sighted deep in the mountains, and as the sightings increased, the young woman began to disappear. This tale has brought me to the Reach, where this witch, they call a Hagraven, makes it home, with sword and shield at the ready, for I must see this creature, and I must slay it. 24 Sun's Dawn. The stomach of an average man would turn at the cruelty set before me. I first saw the thatch and bone, the human skulls, the dead goat, heads mounted on spikes, filthy animal pelts, loose entrails, and feathers matted with blood. I had heard of that forsworn revere and protect these Hagravens, and all around were their small, crude trinkets and altars to these witches, on which sat dull, empty soul gems. What vile creature would live where all things are dead? Deeper into the lair, I heard it first, an unsteady shuffling, followed by a heaving, unforgettable stench. I thrusted the torch in front of me and waited for my eyes to adjust to the tunnel of darkness ahead of me. I saw the silhouette of what I thought to be a frail woman on an awkward gate, but the light of the torch revealed something else. This Hagraven was horrifying, almost human, but more an abomination of woman and creature fused together. Nothing more than a husk of humanity surrendered in exchange for possession of the powers of dark magic. This magic corrupted her greatly, and her dull glass eyes stared with hate from the visage of an old crone sat atop a body of a contorted, misshapen human body adorned with black feathers. It bristled as it let out a piercing scream, and as a vivid red light began to form in the palm of its talons, it was all I could do to raise my shield in defense of magic most foul. I fought through devilry that seemed to snatch life from me, and the thought that this thing was once a woman seemed to play on my nerves. Most men would have crumbled, but I do not bend. The Hagraven is a most repulsive creature, and deserving of its fate and its claws that are my trophy will tell the story of Herbane's triumph. I have not but to continue my travels and my conquests, for I have yet to see what will make me tremble. Invocation of Azura by Sigilla Parate. For 300 years I have been a priestess of Azura, the Daedric princess of Moonshadow, mother of the rose and queen of the night sky. Every Hogithum, which we celebrate on the 21st of First Seed, we summon her for guidance, as well as to offer things of worth and beauty to Her Majesty. She is a cruel but wise mistress. We do not invoke her on any Hogithum troubled by thunderstorms, for those nights belong to the Mad One, Shogorath, even if they do coincide with the occasion. Azura at such times understands our caution. Azura's invocation is a very personal one. I have been priestess to 3 other Daedric princes, but Azura values the quality of her worshippers and the truth behind our adoration for her. When I was a dark elven maid of 16, I joined my grandmother's coven, worshippers of Molag Bal, the schemer princess. Blackmail, extortion, and bribery are as much as the weapons of the witches of Molag Bal as it is dark magic. The invocation of Molag Bal is held on the 20th of Evening Star, except during stormy weather. This ceremony is seldom missed, but Molag Bal often appears to her cultists on mortal guise on other dates. When my grandmother died in an attempt to poison the air of Firewatch, I re-examined my faith to be in the cult. My brother was a wizard of the cult of Boethiah, and from that he told me the Dark Warrior was closer to my spirit than the treacherous Molag Bal. Boethiah is a warrior princess who acts more overtly than any other Daedroth. After years of sulking and scheming, it felt good to perform acts for a mistress which had direct, immediate consequences. Besides, I liked it that Boethiah was a Daedra of the Dark Elves. Our cult would summon her on the date we called the Gauntlet, the 2nd of Sun's Dusk. Bloody competitions would be held in her honor, and the duels and battles would continue until 9 cultists were killed at the hands of other cultists. Boethiah cared little for her cultists. She only cared for our blood. I do think I saw her smile when I accidentally slew my brother in a sparring session. My horror, I think, greatly pleased her. I left the cult soon after that. Boethiah was too impersonal for me, too cold. I wanted a mistress of greater depth. For the next 18 years of my life, I worshipped no one. Instead, I read and researched. It was in an old and profane tome that I came upon the name of Nocturnal. Nocturnal, the night mistress. Nocturnal, the unfathomable. As the book prescribed, I called to her on her holiday, the 3rd of Hearth Fire. At last I had found the personal mistress I had so long desired. I strove to understand her labyrinthine philosophy, the source of her mysterious pain. Everything about her was dark and shrouded, even the way she spoke and the acts she required of me. It took years for me to understand the simple fact that I could never understand Nocturnal. Her mystery was essential to her as savagery was to Boethiah, or treachery was to Molag Bal. To understand Nocturnal is to negate her, to pull back the curtains cloaking her realm of darkness. As much as I loved her, I recognized the futility of unraveling her enigmas. I turned instead to her sister, Azura. Azura is the only Daedra princess I have ever worshipped who seems to care about her followers. Molag Bal wanted my mind, Boethiah wanted my arms, and Nocturnal, perhaps, my curiosity. Azura wants all of that, and our love above all. Not our object slavering, but our honest and genuine caring in all its forms. It is important to her that our emotions be engaged in her worship, and our love must also be directed inwards. If we love her and hate ourselves, she feels our pain. I will, for all time, have no other mistress. Healing Before You're Killed by Eduardo Corbus. I have seen many a man rush headlong into battle only to have their life cut short in an instant. I have been a trainer of the warrior arts for many spans, cut from the cloth of a great lineage of knights, blades, and even a distant sellsword or two. It is with this knowledge that I try to open a brief treatise on the subtle art of war. Not mage fire, not archery, or criminal throat slitting, but war, man on man, with nothing but a fine bit of steel between them. The first thing you will need to learn is how to block. The best way not to get killed is not to let the other man hit you. Use a shield, use it well. Now, you'll get tired from this. You might even get a little hurt, but a blocked blow is much better than a landed one. Over time you will get better, eventually shrugging off even the mightiest of hits. But beware. Your foes, if they are not base core bandits, will know how to counter you. They'll hit you with everything they got in order to open you up and keep on hitting, so watch for those powerful attacks. While it is still better to absorb the impact of a quarter inch of steel, it's best to try to just step out of the way. Remember, against spells, your blocking is useless until you're trained, so get up on mages quickly and let them eat steel. This serves them right for using a witch weapon. You can also block without a shield as well. Just cross the blow with your sword, though this isn't nearly as effective. And if you decide you're fancy and want to wield two blades, you can't block at all, so don't even try. Without both hands on the hilt, you just won't have the strength to counter the blows. But with a weapon in each hand, you are much more likely to take your opponents down quickly. The best defense, some may say. To wield a blade, there are some fundamentals. Quick strikes are always good, but can be repelled, so watch for your opponent's own defensive postures. Wait for an opening, or create one with your own heavy attacks. Hammers hit hardest, but are slow. Same with maces and all blunt weaponry. Axes are nice middle ground, while swords are the quickest, but won't stagger your opponent as efficiently with the hard hits. Keep an eye not to get too exhausted. Always try to save a little of your strength to counter blows or even run. Keep moving during a fight. Never let yourself get cornered or surrounded. Pick your threats. Weak spellcasters can hurt you. Weak spellcasters that can hurt you quick are the first things I fell. Weak spellcasters that can hurt you quick are the first thing I fell. I don't know. English is not my native language, so that sentence just didn't make sense to me, sorry. The shield is not only a defensive tool. Put your shoulder into it and bash your opponent. This sends them flying and opens them up for quick counter assaults. Even better, put extra weight into it and power bash your opponent. If they are small, this will put them on their knees. Bigger opponents cannot be staggered by heavy attacks. Only the power bash will really knock them around and create openings for you to exploit. So again, block, counter, bash. Hit them when they are down. They will show no mercy, so why should you? Battle is about offense, about catching your foe early and never relenting. Keep moving, keep swinging. If you consider yourself overly powerful, pick up a two-handed weapon and see your foes fall before you like wheat stalks. They are slow and unwieldy, but they shatter bones and cleave flesh better than anything. The graves are filled with many and mediocre swordsmen. If you don't have the stomach for war, try a monk's work. But if you do travel the path of the warrior, learn the basics and keep your head firmly planted on your shoulders, or someone's bound to love it off. I enjoy the ones that give you kind of hints of how to use the weapons and the spells. I like those. On Stepping Lightly. On Stepping Lightly, The Nordic Ruins of Skyrim by Sigilis Justus. Dotting the landscape of Skyrim, the ancient Nordic ruins are a testament to the ingenuity of the Nordic people of the past. When constructing the final resting places of their noble class, these supposedly barbaric people proved quite the opposite, developing some of the most sophisticated and clever defenses ever encountered. Coupled with the presence of the fearsome Draugr, these tombs have become quite a challenge for the would-be treasure hunter. The most often overlooked obstacles are the abundance of traps spread throughout the tombs, ranging from simple tripwire-activated rock falls to complex pressure plate-triggered dart traps. The Nords utilize these devices abundantly. Most of the traps can be avoided by simply looking for the trigger mechanism and avoiding them, since they are most often placed in areas where distractions abound. Remember to keep your eyes on the floor. One of the keys to survival in a Nordic ruin is through the clever use of these traps to gain an upper hand against its denizens. In many cases, it's trivial to lure them across the triggering mechanisms in hopes that they will fall victim to the trap's effect. This advantage can come heavily into play when encountering an oil trap. Using a ranged attack, lure your victim into the oil and then loose an arrow at the fire pot hanging above. The moment the fire pot shatters, the entire pool of oil will ignite and engulf the enemy. Just be certain that you are standing clear of the oil yourself, or else this trick could end your expedition in an untimely manner. Perhaps one of the most amazing engineering marvels of all to be found in the ruins has little to do with the traps designed to kill. Utilizing all manner of pull chains, levers, switches, and pressure plates, some of the most frustrating obstacles can occur in the form of puzzles that could threaten to block your progress. Watch for the telltale signs of these barriers. Groups of levers in a single place, rotating pillars with cravings on all faces, and even large arrays of pressure plates covering the floor of a room. In most cases, the puzzle may take experimentation. In others, the solution could actually be present elsewhere in the complex. It's recommended to keep a writing implement and a journal handy in the latter case. Although Nordic ruins are commonly infested with vermin such as Keever and spiders, these creatures pale in comparison to the mighty Draugr. These horrific animated dead beings are commonly found as guardians in most of the tombs and will defend them mercilessly. Since the Draugr tend to lay dormant until someone happens upon their resting place, it is advisable to keep an eye on any niche or sarcophaguses that you encounter. These undead beings animate rather rapidly and silently, so always watch your back. Any remains you may have passed could suddenly animate and set upon you without warning. The perils of the Nordic ruin are not without reward. The burial chambers in some of the larger complexes have been known to contain all manners of riches, from gold coins to even the occasional enchanted weapon or armor. Never dismiss the small ceremonial urns that dot the ruins. They are commonly filled with ancient offerings of great value. There are rumors that most, if not all of these ruins contain large walls with magical inscriptions upon them, but these have yet to be confirmed. While this might seem like a comprehensive guide to the ruins, there are certain to be dangers lurking within that remain undiscovered. Just be sure to always enter these tombs with plenty of good equipment and a good solid weapon by your side. With a bit of patience and keen eye and light step, the Nordic ruin can bring you great wealth. Do without these simple safety measures and you risk becoming a permanent resident like many before you. That took me a while to read. Oh god. Sometimes I read so much, and right now I'm using my glasses because I was like, no way I'm reading all that without my glasses. And like I sometimes happens to me that I'm reading like one line, right? And then while I'm reading one line. It's like I see the line down from the one that I'm reading, and I kind of mix both of them, and so then I'm like, wait, what was I reading? It happens when I'm tired. God damn it, the motorcycles are so bad today. Why so much noise? Come on, stop. On the Great Collapse. To the esteemed Jarl Valdimar of Winterhold. First, please allow me to offer my most sincere condolences. I understand that you, like many others, have lost family and you have my deepest sympathies. I also understand that some of your council have placed the blame for this horrible disaster on my colleagues at the college. While I can certainly appreciate the shock and the scope of recent events and the desire to comprehend what has happened, I must strongly urge you to consider the full situation. You know as well that the college history and reputation in Winterhold, it has long been a source of pride for your city, a unique fixture in Skyrim. Some of the greatest wizards have studied here, and the college has always promoted positive relations with the other provinces of Tamriel. It is well known that those relations have been, shall we say, strained over the last few decades. After the Oblivion Crisis, it was only natural that the people of Skyrim showed a distrust for mages, even though the vast majority of us actively worked to counter the actions of the Mythic Dawn cult. The college expected such a reaction and hoped that distrust would fade over time. And then, the Red Year, no one foresaw the explosion of Red Mountain or the devastating effect it would have on the Dunmer culture. Your predecessor was kind enough to welcome many of the refugees, particularly those who could contribute to the college studies. We were quite grateful. When Solstheim was generously offered to the Dunmer as a new home, I was surprised as any. I did not, however, share the apparent expectation that all Dark Elves will leave Skyrim. It did not go unnoticed that many in Winterhold were unhappy at how many mages chose to stay at the college rather than relocate. And now the storms that have racked the coast of Skyrim for close to a year have finally broken, but at great cost to us all. This great collapse that has devastated Winterhold was unexpected, I assure you. That the college has remained unaffected is only a testament to the protective magics placed upon it so long ago. It in no way implies that we were somehow prepared specifically for this event, and is certainly not an indication that the college was somehow responsible. I certainly wouldn't even never hold you accountable for the gossip spread amongst the people of Winterhold. I would urge you, though, to not allow that gossip to take root and become a commonly held belief. I do not wish to see our relationship crumble like Winterhold has. As I assure you, the college will remain here a very, very long time. Your persistent advocate, Archmage Beneth. Opusculus Lamae Bal. Ta Mesamorite, a brief account of the Lamae Bal and the restless death. Mabe Iwanel, scribe. Translation by University of Gwilym Press. 3rd Era, year 105. As brighter grows light, darker becomes shadow. So it passed that the Dedra Molakbal looked anarchy and thought the Edra prideful of his dominion, or the death of man and mare, and it was sooth. Bal, whose sphere is the wanton oppression and entrapment of mortal souls, sought to thwart Archay, who knew that no man, nor mare, nor beast folk of all Nirn would escape eventual death. The Edra was doubtless of his sphere, and so Molag Bal set upon Nirn to best death. Tamriel was still young and filled with danger and wondrous magic when Bal walked in the aspect of a man and took up version Lamae Bal Fag from the Nedic peoples. Savage and loveless, Bal profaned her body, and her screams became the shrieking winds, which still haunt certain windling shores of Skyrim, shedding a lone droplet of blood on her brow. Bal left Nirn, having sworn his wrath. Violated and comatose, Lamae was found by nomads and cared for. A fortnight hence, the nomad weird woman enshrouded Lamae in pall, for she had passed into death. In their way, their nomads built a bonfire to emulate the husk. That night, Lamae rose from her funeral pyre and set upon the coven, still aflame. She ripped the throats of the woman, ate the eyes of the children, and raped the men as cruelly as Bal had ravished her. And so Lamae, who is known to us as Blood Matron, imprecated her foul aspect upon the fall of Tamriel, and begat a brood of countless abominations, from which came the vampires, most cunning of the night horrors. And so was the scourge of undeath wrought upon Tamriel, cruelly mocking Arcade's rhythm of life and death through all the coming eras of the Ed Ada. And for all his sadness, Arcade knew this would not be undone. That was a heavy short book. Shadowmarkers by Delvin Mallory. Need to know your way around, eh? Don't want to stumble into a necromancer's house or fall into another trap set by the city guard? Then you need to read this book, from cover to cover. Learning to identify the shadow mark can mean the difference between making a fortune and ending up with a blade in your gut. The clever little marks are carved all over Skyrim, most of the door frames or fronts of buildings, but you can find them pretty much anywhere a thief's been. It's the way we talk to each other without talking. Keeps the newer thieves from becoming dead thieves, and all that nonsense. There aren't that many of the bloody things, so I don't want to hear any excuses about not having the time to learn them. Anyway, enough of my gabbing. Time to put your wizard's cap on and do a little research. Glossary of Shadowmarkers. He has drawings. The Guild. This is the symbol for the Guild. This means the place is as safe as the flagon's cistern. If you see this shadow mark, someone from the Guild is nearby for certain. Safe. We usually leave this shadow mark when we have scouted and found a safe way around something. A hallway without traps, or maybe a house that's already cleared out. If you see one of these, head the way it's pointing and you will be fine. Okay. Danger. If you see the shadow mark, head the other way or take your life in your own hands. It means there's something ahead or beyond that door that wants to turn you inside out. Escape route. Now, on the rare occasion, it better be a rare occasion if you want to work in the guild, that you find yourself in jail, look for this little beauty. You see this shadow mark and escape is just a few steps away. Protected. We put these shadow marks on places we don't want you to go, as in stay out of there, and there's going to be a boot up the backside. These people are under the guild's protection and should never be robbed or assaulted. Fence. This should quickly become your favorite shadow mark. The person near this mark will buy your hard-earned stolen goods for a fair price. Ah. Thieves' cash. Who says we only take and never give back? If you find this shadow mark near a chest or maybe a hallowed log, you are in for a surprise. A gift from the guild for whoever thief in the field. Whoever said membership didn't have these privileges. Loot. There's something near this shadow mark worth stealing. Saves you from breaking into a place only to find the people don't even have two septims to rub together. Empty. The opposite of the loot shadow mark. Pass on this place. Nothing inside. Oh, that was interesting. Nice. Songs of Skyrim. Compiled by Gemain, historian of the Bard's College Solitude. Ragnar the Red is a traditional song of Whiterun. Despite the grim final image, the song is generally regarded as light and rollicking and favorite in inns across Skyrim. Yeah, that's really common song. I'm not going to sing. There once was a hero named Ragnar the Red, who came riding to Whiterun from old Rorik's dead, and the braggart did swagger and brandish his blade, as he told of all battles and gold that he had made. But then he went quiet, did Ragnar the Red, when he met the shield maiden Matilda, who said, "Oh, you talk and you lie and you drink all our mead. Now I think it's high time that you lie down and bleed." And so then came the clashing and slashing of steel, and the brave lass Matilda charged in full of zeal, and the braggart named Ragnar was boastful no more, when his ugly red head rolled around on the floor. The Dragonborn comes has been handed down from generation to generation of bards. The Dragonborn in North culture is the archetype of what a North should be. The song itself has been used to rally soldiers and to bring hope. Our hero claims a warrior's heart. I tell you, the Dragonborn comes, with a voice wielding power of the ancient North art. Believe, the Dragonborn comes. It's an end of the veil of all Skyrim's foes. Beware, the Dragonborn comes, for the darkness has passed and the legend yet grows. You'll know the Dragonborns come. The Age of Oppression and the Age of Aggression are variants of one song. It isn't known which of the two was written first, but the tune with loyalty appropriate lyrics is quite popular on both sides of the war. Age of Oppression. We drink to our youth, and to days come and gone. For the age of oppression is now nearly done. We will drive out the empire from this land that we own. With our blood and our steel, we will take back our home. All hail to Ulfric, you are the High King. In your great honor we drink and we sing. We are the children of Skyrim, and we fight all our lives. And when Sovngarde beckons, every one of us dies. But this land is ours, and we'll see it wiped clean of the scourge that has sullied our hopes and our dreams. Age of Aggression. We drink to our youth, to days come and gone, for the age of aggression is just about done. We will drive out the stormcloaks and restore what we own. With our blood and our steel we will take back our home. Down with Ulfric, the killer of kings. On the day of your death we will drink and we will sing. We are the children of Skyrim, and we will find all our lives. And when Sovngarde beckons, every one of us dies. But this land is ours, and we will see it wiped clean of the scourge that has sullied our hopes and dreams. Okay, so the following is an ancient song we have only recently been able to translate without a tune or a sure pronunciation. The song is lost to time and is included here to show the deep history of songs here in Skyrim. Yeah, it's the actual song, right? Yeah, it kind of fits. I'm awful at pronouncing it. I know the tune. The one that okay, yeah, the song of the game. Yeah, the translation. Dragonborn. By his honor is sworn, to keep evil forever at bay, and the fiercest foes rout when they hear triumphs shout. Dragonborn, for your blessing we pray. Hearken now, son of snow, to an age long gone, and the tale bloodly told of the one who was kin to both worm and the races of man, with a power to rival the sun, and the voice he did wield on that glorious field, when great Tamriel shrouded with war. Mighty Thum like a blade cut through enemies all, as the Dragonborn issued his roar, and the scrolls have foretold of black wings in the cold, and when brothers wage war come unfurled. Alduin, bane of kings, ancient shadow unbound, with a hunger to swallow the world, but a day shall arise, when the dark dragon's lies will be silenced forever, and then Fair Skyrim will be free from foul undoings more. Dragonbird be the savior of men. No, wait, there was anything else? I clicked out of it, like, on autopilot. I was like, no, yeah, that's the only one. That should be the last one. Yeah, that was enough. That was good. That was good. I wasn't expecting to see the song, that song there. Souls, black and white. The nature of the soul is not knowable. Every wizard that has attempted it vanishes without a trace. What can be known is that the souls are a source of mystic energy that can be harvested. Every creature, living or dead, is powered by a soul. Without it, there are just lumps of flesh or piles of bones. This animating force can be contained within a soul gem, if the soul gem has the capacity. From the gem, the power can be used to power magical items. Centuries of experimentation has demonstrated that there are black souls and white souls. Only the rare black soul gem can hold the soul of a higher creature, such as a man or an elf, while the souls of lesser creatures can be captured by gems of many colors. They are all categorized as white soul gems, hence the division of souls into black and white. White souls are far safer than black souls, although not as powerful. Beginning students of mysticism should not dabble in black souls or black soul gems. Even if one were to ignore the guild strictures against the necromantic arts used to power black soul gems, it is dangerous to the caster to handle them for long. If the gem is not precisely the size of the encased soul, small bits of the caster's souls may leak into the gem when it's touched. Interesting. I like that.